What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the Wagering World. I'm in here today with my co-host. He's been with me since day one, the OG of the show, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you today?
Man, I'm doing great right now. It says a temporary error occurred on X. Wait a moment and then try again. So we're live right now on YouTube. I'll get this going here on Twitter real soon. But man, what a weekend. What a weekend. And I cannot wait to talk about it.
Yeah, man, it was a great weekend. We were able to cash some tickets, and also make some evaluations on some things as well. No need to waste any time, man. Let's jump straight into the past, Spread.
All right, let's jump right into the past. I was thinking this morning, I go, why do we even work from February through August? This college football is paying the bills,
Yes,
and it continued to do well. 3-0 day. We appreciate all the hard work you put into making these picks. And the first one was USF South Florida +6. Talk to me about what you saw with the underdog in that game.
Byron Brown. He's one of those guys that I've talked about on the Wagering World many years ago. I think it was maybe 2022 when I first noticed this kid. He was a freshman. The coach before, their coach now, he got fired because he didn't have enough sense to play that kid. And he's gotten a lot stronger, a lot more confident. He's looking like a pro prospect to me, man. I don't really like their offense a lot. Of quick screens to the wide receivers. I think they need to let Brown work a little bit more down the field, open up the playbook. I love the way he's a dual threat quarterback, looking for contact when he's running down the field, man. He mowed a couple of Boise State guys. Big test coming up for South Florida this week as they play Florida. I'll be very interested in that game. The books don't think they have much of a chance as they're giving them 18.5 points. But on the other side of the ball, life is going to be a little bit different without Ashton Jeanty. He's maybe the best player to come through Boise State when you think about it. I mean, it's a lot of people might say OC for the Eagles, new head coach, Kellen Moore for the Saints was the best player of all time there because he was the quarterback and they made a deep run. I want to say they won the Fiesta Bowl that year. Was that the year they won the Fiesta Bowl? Maybe so. I can't remember if he
was that the Statue of Liberty play?
Yeah, I don't know if he was the quarterback
for that. I think it was.
Okay.
I'll look it up real quick right now.
He's definitely the most known alumni from that school. Was a backup in the league for a while, and now it's a great success in the NFL as an OC. Started out with the Cowboys, ended up with Philadelphia, now has his own gig. But Ashton Jeanty is just the best pure athlete that's ever came through Boise State. I noticed him his sophomore year, and they're going to hurt without him. Spencer Danielson is an all right coach, and he's going to get exposed, man. I wasn't too high on him, and as we see, Maddox isn't as strong a quarterback when he doesn't have Jeanty as a threat in the run game. So I'm sure that the Boise State fans were really disappointed in that outcome, but it didn't shock us one bit. One of the things that I look for, Spread, when I'm dealing with these college games, the reason why I'm so good on it is because I'm really tapped in also with the high school football in different states and which states produce the type of guys that are going to excel as a whole. You know, you go with a bunch of Florida guys from Tampa area and stuff against a bunch of kids that's from, the Mountain West area. It's really no competition, man. So we're glad we got that cash.
All right, and that was a great pick and another way to start week 2. Keep it rolling here with Ohio, who was plus 15.5 at Rutgers. I missed that one. Talk to me about what you saw there.
Parker Navarro, another one of my guys that I really like a lot. He's the quarterback for Ohio. They almost pull out the outrights. They go to Piscataway, one of my favorite words. They go to Piscataway and give Rutgers all that they wanted. Good job by their quarterback, Kaliakmanis, who came in from Minnesota. He's doing a really good job over there. Rutgers has a much better offense than in the past. They got a receiver over that's got to be about 6'5", 6'6". He's a beast. He was very, very impressive. But we're able to get the cover pretty easy. And Ohio pushed to win the game. As I told people, they had a lot of continuity because even though that their old coach, Tim Alvin, went to Charlotte, the OC took over, and if you got your OC coming back with Parker Navarro, who's a really good quarterback, all-MAC quarterback, you're going to be in a lot of games. So that one was all about the quarterback play.
All right. Next game I want to talk about was Nebraska, -6.5 at Cincinnati. This was the one that you went head-to-head with Sino. Baby Mahomes couldn't get it done. What did you see in that matchup?
This kid is going too far with this cosplaying Mahomes. Like, it's cute when you're like a 10th grader, you know what I'm saying? Like, in high school is when it's supposed to end. Like, he's going too far. I know that Mahomes pretends like he likes the kid, but I know he gets on his damn nerves. Like, dude, you even bite me down to the way I call the huddle and, you know, just all my little mannerisms. That's just too far. Like, you want to pattern your game after somebody, that's different on the field. You know, kind of play the game the same way, but going all the way down to how you celebrate is getting a little sickening, man. So I don't know. And I'm not as high on him. You know, he was one of the guys I wanted to fade, and we were able to do that early. Just a book game because Cincinnati played like trash. They did not play well. Satterfield remains on the hot seat, and I don't think he's going to make it through the season as Cincinnati's coach because he just isn't a good play caller. Their strength was running the quarterback with Sorsby. They never established the passing game one bit. Then a really silly play to end the game when they just throw a fade route into cover two coverage. Just two safeties are back, and you got the corner over the top. And they just gave the game away. They could have actually probably won it if they would have kept running Sorsby on the RPOs, but they don't. But we're happy that we get the cash. And once again, Sino, I know you're on the road coming back from Louisiana to Houston right now, but you already know, man, forever. I'll be Mr. Miyagi. You'll be Daniel's son.
Excellent. All right, let's move over to the world of tennis. Ann Lee, plus 3.5 games versus Bencic. Anna Kalinskaya got the first set over Putin-Seva. And you and I cast Carolina Muhova. Talk to me about what you saw there. And I know this is the past, but, well, you know what? We'll do a little U.S. Open a little later.
Yeah,
we'll add that into the present because I do want to talk to you about what's going on in this tournament. It's been pretty exciting. Their timing is so terrible. They should be doing this 2 weeks ago when nothing is going on.
Right.
Because it's been great drama. But talk to me about those picks and what you saw there.
Well, Ann Lee, we already knew she had been hot from Cleveland. Bencic just isn't all the way right yet. Much like Osaka coming off of, maternity, it's going to take a little while. She came back a little bit quicker than we thought, was able to win some matches, but she's not going to get back to her level for a while. She has to learn how to balance first, being a mother and being a tennis player. So we know that's hard because this is a mother.
Is Bencic's husband, is he famous? Is he an athlete or anything, or is he just a normal guy?
I don't know who she had her baby by. I got to look that up.
I think he's a normal guy. I don't think it's like an athlete or anything.
Yeah, but Spread, it's like you don't have kids, so you don't really witness it as much, except for probably with your mom when that was so long ago. You're not going to remember that it's a bond that women have with their kids, man. And especially when they're under 5, it's like, they're not going to be able to just be gone for long periods of time. I'm sure when she's even on the practice court, she's probably with her. I know Osaka's daughters often with her, and we saw Serena's career start decline after she started having kids because it's just a woman's natural order is to just be a mother. Like you can even look through wildlife, like a lion will rip your head off a lion that's over her cub. A dog, you could have a dog.
Well, that's how we are here with bears 5-star. I saw one on my property and I thought it was really cool. Mm-hmm. See that cub, that's when the fear gets into you. Because a bear by herself, they're not really going to mess with you. They got better stuff to do. But once that cub's around, you got to be on your toes and get away as fast as possible. So, great point about this is in all the animal kingdom.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is with Benson. She's still a good player, especially coming from, just having a child and everything. And I think that she's not going anywhere anytime soon. I expect a better year from her next year. But Ann Lee was just swinging a hot racket. And once again, it's a big advantage for Americans playing in Flushing Meadows. The crowds are raucous. It gets a lot of people like, for instance, Bencic is from Switzerland, right? She's from Switzerland, man. So they're used to real calm, quiet tennis. And it gets, the rocking and rolling out there in New York, man. And And, they kind of get off their game. So great job by Ann Lee. She gets the straight up win at plus 210, but she covers the games for us as well. Cal Astaire just mowed Putin Seaver. We know Putin Seaver doesn't come to play until the second set, and then usually it's too late. So that wasn't even a match. Cal Astaire's been playing much better this year since she doesn't have any boyfriends. She's always caught up with a guy because she's so good looking. But we'll see if she becomes a model. Or if she stays a tennis player, because she kind of reminds me of what's our girl name from up in Canada, Spread, that had the
Bianca
little.
Escu?
No, not Andrescu. No.
Eugenie Bouchard.
Jeannie Broussard. She reminds me of. They play the same way. Really good looking, aggressive players. Love hard court, hit hard. But, man, can they get away from the curse of beauty? They have so many men that are always going to be at them. A lot of rich, successful guys. And Cal Astaire has played well this year. I'm still wondering if she'll ever be a real threat to win a major. And then we both had our girl Muhova. I'm going to actually give her out probably later in the Ball and Parlay just for the first set. I think that she can beat Osaka the first set. They faced each other 3 times. She's been able to eke out the first set. And one time when she lost to Osaka this year at the Australian Open, she mowed her in the first set 6-1. So I think that Muhova can get the first set off Osaka. She continues to be a really good player. She beats Kirsten as we expected.
All right. Is it time to move to the present? That's about everything, right? Oh, no. We have Saturday. We have Saturday to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to make this a little NFL related at the end, but let's just start with what you saw in the game. Ohio State, they get it done. And Patricia Ryan Day did a good job on defense there. And I thought it was a good win for Ohio State. Kind of a tough start for Arch Manning. It's probably going to be a little easier. Again, it's a tough place to play on the road, defending national champions. You got the game right, but talk to me. Is this one of the things where we because I think I'm going to do it with the Detroit Lions this week. You fade them right off the bat, but then everybody gets down on them, and then it's time to back them. Talk to me about what you saw in this game, and how are we going to react when handicapping Texas?
Yeah, me and Ski was actually talking about that as soon as the game ended. We both bet Texas this week and laid the 30, whatever it was, because no one's going to be able to slow that running game down. You saw glimpses of it against the stiffest, probably, defense in the country. Those two teams actually are probably 1 and 2. I'd say LSU, Clemson's up there too, but those 3 teams, LSU, Texas, and Ohio State, have some real playmakers on their defenses. We talked about the fact that no one wanted to recognize that Arch Manning, has not played enough football to get all of the hype he's getting. He just hadn't had enough snaps. Simple as that. He's basically a true freshman because he sat on the bench behind Quinn Ewers, and he played a couple games when Ewers was nicked up against lesser competition. In high school, he played at Newman, which is a really good school, but they're not in a really good division. They play some guys that he has no problem with because they're just too small, And now you come to Texas, there's a lot of hype, but you're facing Ohio State. You're facing Ryan Day, who had won, what was it? I don't want to say 25 times in a row Ohio State in one game, or something like that. It was some ridiculous stat that I found about that game. And I just don't fade Ryan Day at home. His quarterback didn't look as good either as people thought he would look, but I think that was more the Texas just is a solid team. Texas has, in my opinion, probably a better team than Ohio State, but Ohio State has a better coach, and that's the difference in that when the talent is the same, the difference is going to be the coaching. People are attacking Sark. I don't blame Sark at all for the way the playbook. The first play of the game, he tried to get Arch a really easy throw. He threw it right at the kid's feet. No one's talking about the fact that Arch Manning, he doesn't have, really good technique, man. He needs a lot more coaching to come from having an uncle like Peyton Manning. They must not be too close because he plays a lot more like Eli, than he plays like Peyton. There's not a lot of refinement to his game. Too many sidearm throws, never gets his feet set, things like that. He completely struggles with the passing game. And I already saw that coming into this. And you remember when we were breaking down the game, I said that if Ohio State could slow down Texas's powerful running game, which they did, and make it what Arch had to throw, he was going to have a lot of problems dealing with the pencil, Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia is a really smart guy. He went to Harvard or MIT or somewhere like that. He's a really smart dude, and he's a lot for a college quarterback to deal with. People were expecting the same thing with North Carolina, but they're not realizing Bill Belichick has laid it down, man. He just got that job in order to give his sons an opportunity to have a career. And they suck. They're nothing like him. You know how it is. A lot of times the kids are never as good as the father. So they're not as good tactically as he is, but Matt Patricia is. He really learned under him, a really smart guy, and kind of views football in the same manner that Prime Belichick did when he was the defensive coordinator for the Giants. A lot of exotics, a lot of coverage, hiding coverage and things like that. And then they had the best player on the field on defense with Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is the next Ed Reed, man. He is going to be special. Whatever team gets him, usually a safety, even of his caliber, probably drop down into the teens. So he'll still go to a good, really good team next year. Caleb Downs is going to be a perennial All-Pro in the NFL. Keep your eyes on that kid. He is special. Jeremiah, the star wide receiver for Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, not a good game. He had a lot of drops, man, and he had the dropsies. But luckily for us, my guy Carnell Tate comes through with the biggest play of the game, ended up being the winning touchdown as Texas ended up kind of making it close in the fourth quarter. But I think both of these are playoff teams. I think that Ryan Day is such a smart coach that he protected Julian Sayin. He didn't let him really, throw the ball. He didn't open up the offense like he could have, because what's the point if I know that Arch Manning can't move the ball on our defense? And we said that Arch was going to be one of those guys that we were going to fade, and he ended up coming true. Two of the guys that I said I was going to fade, though, beat me. One of them was the kid for Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, that came over from East Carolina. Coach, man. Josh Heupel's a hell of a coach. He reeled in all of the things that kid does wrong. All their plays, he was just outside throws, over-the-top throws. He did not make him throw any medium-range balls where he was having a lot of trouble at Appalachian State selling it on guys, and then the safety gets it. But he's going to have to dial it in just like Arch and become a better mid-range quarterback. That's what I like so much about Shador. It's very hard to find accurate quarterbacks in the medium range game, and that's what makes the NFL go. That's what makes Brady so good. That's what made Joe Montana so good, John Elway. They were hitting guys on the run to get yards after the catch on these 10 and ends, on these 10 and digs, these 15 and outs, 15 and stops, 20-yard digs and things like that. So he has a lot to work on, but he did do a really good job against Syracuse. And then another one that surprised me was Jackson Arnold. A little bit more athletic than I expected. He's added some speed in the offseason. I still don't trust his coach at all. And I think Auburn just had a much better team than Baylor did. That's why they beat him. But I must admit, even though some funny calls by the ref in the fourth quarter, Jackson Arnold did play better than I expected. But him and Aguilar will be phased for me when the SEC season begins.
All right. My NFL question there for you is, we had kind of guessed that New Orleans was throwing this slop on the field this season, and maybe they'll prove us wrong, but I don't expect it, to try and get Arch Manning. If you're looking at Arch Manning as a prospect, are you downgrading him, or is this just normal first game jitters and you're not worried about him at all? It's part of the learning process. As you mentioned, he's never experienced this level of competition before.
Arch is going to get back on the right timeline now. All they did was embarrass him with all of the stuff. He didn't ask for any of that. That's these guys who are meat riders that write for these different national companies who just want to get in good with the Mannings. They're fanboys, and they're not real ball knowers. They don't know anything about sports, man, besides just writing from their feelings and saying the things that make them happy instead of the facts. And, that's why people get into me on X all the time. But the only thing that I'm doing is telling the truth, man. I have no favoritism when it comes to analyzing sports. I'm just going to tell it how it is and what I see on tape. And Arch is going to stay another year. He'll be the number one quarterback in 2027. He's not going to come out this year, Spread. His family has plenty of money. He's a star at Texas. I'm sure he's getting all the girls he wants. They're not going to force him to go play in the NFL. If you remember, Peyton Manning stayed an extra year longer than he was supposed to, and I think Eli did as well. So I don't think that you can take Arch's name completely out the draft. And it's funny, you remember Spread in the springtime, they were using the excuse saying that the reason why Shador and Cam they weren't so high on them was because this year's draft class. And you remember I told you like, are they smoking? Like this is the worst draft class in a long time. These guys are missing so much, and that kind of leads us to Cade Klubnik and that Clemson game that we were able to cash. We hit a money line with the group. I told people, man, I'm going to fade Cade Klubnik all day. He's all hype, man. They want to turn him into Lawrence, but he's not him. You know, he's a decent quarterback, but he gets shook, man. And if the dogs get after him like LSU got after him in the first half and the second half, actually, because Clemson wouldn't even score the touchdown if it wasn't for Dabo being able to con the refs into letting them do that crackback. Was just a completely illegal play. Some guy sent, X saying it was behind the line of scrimmage, but it's no style of football that a guy can be trailing a receiver in the open field and another guy just comes and just knocks him out and then he gets open and it's illegal. It's offensive pass interference any way you cut it, man. And they end up scoring on that, but they don't score anything else. I told you guys that I was taking LSU to win the national championship. I got a sweet number. I got them at plus 550 to win the SEC, and I'm sure that number plummeted after that performance against Clemson. Who I am high on is my guy Nussmeier. As I told you, Nussmeier's not a hater. That's why he's going to be a really good pro, because he's willing to learn from others as he sat behind Jaden Daniels, even though he was the guy who had been brought to LSU to be the savior. He was a great quarterback at Lake Charles. I believe he went to Barb, if I'm not mistaken. And then Jaden Daniels come in and transfer portal from Arizona State and takes his job. Because at first they were kind of going back and forth, if you remember, and then it ended up with Jaden clearly was the better player, as we see in the pros now. And Nuss sat and learned. He never got into it, never griped, never went to message boards complaining. And now he's steadily becoming so refined, man. LSU is going to be the team this year. As long as Brian Kelly stays out the way, all thing he has to do is just pop his Percocet and just stay on the sidelines and watch to stay the hell out the way of his coordinators, because he has two really good coordinators over there. Really great team, man. That defense has about 7 guys who are going to play, maybe more in the NFL. I'd say 5 of them may be first rounders. Spread. Whit Weeks is unbelievable. You guys know Harold Perkins is the best playmaker in all of college football. And they got 2 super good cornerbacks. LSU is always going to be DBU, so they have great cornerbacks. This LSU team is really impressive, but Nussmeier is the guy to watch in the draft. I think he'll be the first quarterback taken. Joe Burrow's effect will really help him with teams because he looks a little bit like Burrow. I compare him more to a little bit like Tony Romo, but I also comp Burrow as a Tony Romo type of guy. I had Burrow as Tony Romo, Tom Brady type of quarterback. Tom Brady with more movement, and Nuss is the same way. He can move just enough, to avoid pressure and to throw the ball, but he's super good at the line. Joe Sloan, who's the OC at LSU, is running some great packages, and he allows Nuss to have so much freedom at the line to check in the plays, man, and he was getting them into some great run plays. That comes in handy in the NFL, and also he's a very accurate quarterback. So Nussmeier is the only guy coming out that draft that I think is really, right now, he's the best quarterback, I think, coming out this year in the draft, the most pro-ready. You hit mute, Spread.
I was muted. All right, I'm back. Let's move on to the present, and I'm going to throw in something in the script here. Give me a quick U.S. Open breakdown. What have you seen so far, and who are your favorites to win it as things have changing? I don't have my TV on, but we have a message in here that says Iga's out. Is that true?
Oh, Anisimova beat her 2-0? I had a
looks like it. According to the chat. I mean, I haven't really watched it.
Let me check and see. I hope so, because I love him. I told you Anisimova sooner or later is going to get a major. I've been telling you guys that for about a year. After she got her mind right, came back from a mental break that I think Coco needs now, Spread. Coco needs a mental break. The kind that Anisimova took, it just was a lot on her, man. She's 21. She got a boyfriend, I'm sure. Lot of just commercials, a lot of sponsors. Everyone's pulling at her. She was so nice. She wants to, give everyone her time. And then you win the French Open at 21, which was her dream tournament to win, Spread. Like, what do you do now? You get to a point in life, it's like, what's the next move? Like, I'm sure after you bought your ranch, you like, for a little bit, had to sit still and say, well, what I'm going to do now? I've accomplished one of my major goals in life, So I think that Coco needs a mental break. But as far as the U.S. Open, very interesting U.S. Open. I'm playing Mahova. You guys can already put that in if you have it. First set, I'm playing Caro Mahova. That'll be my ball and parlay. I don't know if she can win. Osaka's been looking really good. She's hitting the ball really well. But one thing I know about Mahova, if her body can keep up and her health, she's going to push her to 3 sets just off the simple fact of her variety, man. Caro's one of the smartest players in tennis. So I think that's one thing. I was really sad that Vandrousova had to retire. She ends up getting hurt. She has to withdraw, excuse me. She ends up getting hurt before playing Sabalenka in practice. I knew that she was going to push Stabs because Vandrousova plays it really well. I believe the head-to-head is maybe 5-4 or something like that. And Vonda was just getting into her rhythm, and she upsets Rabikina for me. So it's getting down to the end, man. It's going to be a really good tournament. I think it comes down to most likely I like Anisimova. I think that she can beat Sabs in America. I think the fans are going to be with her. I think the fans are still kind of on Sabs' row about what happened with Coco in those comments. So if Anisimova did get past my girl Iga, then yeah, I like Anisimova to face Osaka probably for the championship. I don't have the draw in front of me right now. When you get a chance, you can pull up the draw and tell me who's on each side.
I'll pull that up right now. Break down the men real quick while I pull up the draw for the U.S. Open.
I haven't been watching the men as much. I just know the Joker
because it's not as good.
Man, I don't have time.
Who wants to watch people just bomb aces for 5 hours?
Bro, I'm not watching. Only time I watch 5-set matches in the majors is when Sinner plays Alcaraz. I watched that twice. Yeah. Back in the game, I used to watch if Joker played Federer or Federer played Nadal. If it's not the marquee matches, as far as the grind of it, I can't tie my money up for 5.5 hours. That's just it. Then something goes wrong in the 5th set, you lose, and now your money's been tied up for 5.5 hours. I'm good on that, man. I did FAA win today. I know that he came back and won a set.
I got the women's up right now. I'll pull up the men's as well. Okay. On the women's side, Sabalenka's going to play Pegula on the top semifinal. Anisimova will play the winner of Muhova and Osaka. I'll pull up the men's draw right now to make sure we get all the right information out for the people watching. Welcome in on Twitter. Finally got it going.
Oh, good. I think that definitely Sabs beats Pegula. I don't. I'm not high on Jessie like everybody else is, but she did make it to the finals, last year or year before last, and lost to Sabalenka. I think last year she lost to Sabalenka in the finals of the U.S. Open. So she does play good at Flushing, so who knows? It's still a sport. It's still tennis. I won't be betting that, but Anisimova against Osaka or Muhova is a really, really good semifinal match. I'll be rooting for a little Amanda, man. I think it's time for her to get it done. She just overcame a major demon by getting embarrassed like she did by Iga, then getting her back at the U.S. Open. Kudos to her and her team. Does she have Jack Sock as her coach, right?
Does she?
I think so.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay, that's good knowledge right there.
I think Jack Sock is her coach.
He might just be hanging out. He's pretty chill now. On the men's side, so yes, FFA did advance. Talking about what you speak on earlier, in a 4-hour and 10-minute match, and speaking to what I said earlier, 4-6, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. I mean, it's just Wimbledon's the worst. On a men's match, I mean, just watch the tie break and then get up and go do something else for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
get in shape during Wimbledon. I'll go running for a little while. Then I'll watch a tiebreaker. Oh, I'll go lift some weights for a little while. Then I'll come in and watch a tiebreaker. I mean, the way these guys serve nowadays with the new rackets. On the other side, Djokovic will play at Alcaraz. That's a semifinal that's set. FAA will play the winner of Sinner and Musetti. Obviously, Sinner should be a huge favorite, but if anyone could upset him, I would think Musetti might have a better chance. And so, I think Musetti's got a better chance than FFA to upset Sinner. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. FAA is due. He came in with a lot of promise, man. You remember when he was like 20, he was really, really good. And then
he just hasn't improved.
Yeah, he hasn't improved. He leveled off a little bit, So maybe I think he's married now, right?
I don't know. I don't follow the men as much as at all.
Yeah, I think
especially
he's
for
married
the
to his
drama.
girlfriend, so maybe that's helping him out a little bit. But I'll be rooting for him to mess everything up, man. I like to see him
No,
win.
it would be awesome. It'd be like on the women's, but on the women's side, it just feels like so much more likely. Like I could see Anisimova winning it this year. And how much does that change our vision of her going
Yeah.
into next season as just dangerous? Because
But see,
I'll
we
admit,
follow tennis like that, Spread. We already was talking about,
yeah.
the same thing that happens in the juniors eventually usually happens in, the professional side on the main circuit. And Anisimova was probably the number one player as a junior.
And just physically, like you talked about Pegula against Sabalenka. And one of the reasons I have, we love backing underdogs here, right? For the underdogs and for the underground. But Pegula's just not a good enough athlete. And that's why I give her so much credit. Because it's not like she was just naturally good. You ever seen people that are just good at a sport and they don't even like it? Especially in basketball. I see it all the time. She's worked so hard to do it, where Anisimova is actually, I think, the same level athlete as Sabalenka. Which is why I agree with you. She's got a way better chance to upset her.
Cleaner. Maybe her, I'm going to say Sabalenka, Osaka, and Anisimova when they're on, bro. That
And
forehand
Ostapenko when she plays Fiontek.
It's almost a man's forehand, man. It's so clean. Yeah. It's such a clean strike. So both of them are very, very talented. Pegula, I don't know if she's going to the Bills facility and getting a little help. It just seems like to me like her. I always think that she's on something, and I think also that Pauline.
She's not fast or strong enough to really be a top 5 athlete. It's just wild.
It's wild, but her and Pauline both kind of blossomed so late.
But Pauline at least has I don't want to say elite quickness, but it's above average.
She's great on court.
Pegula just athletically, if you ran like a combine, she wouldn't be good at anything compared to the other women.
She does.
So that's why I just give her credit. It's hard work.
She has great touch, though. I give her
and
that.
She's got a great mind for the game. So she's got a great work ethic and a great mind. But I just don't know if she ever breaks through unless it's just everything falls right for her. And I don't think Sabalenka is falling right for her. She needs a player like Sakari or a defensive player, right? That she can kind of play her game with. She gets against a power player that's a better athlete. I mean, it would take a Sabalenka mental implosion. And that's not out of the question either.
No.
Which is why a lot of people won't bet the WTA. Because Sabalenka is so clearly the better player from all your scouting, and you watch tape, and then she'll go out there and implode. And what do? You scouted the match perfectly, but that's just life of rooting for Arena Sabalenka. Although she is getting more consistent, I think she made every major semifinal this year. So that's really improvement rather than crashing out in round 1 and round 2. Do you think Djokovic can give Alcaraz any problems here in the semifinal? Djokovic is almost being, to me, he's like a gatekeeper now. He allows you to fight Alcaraz or Sinner, right? But I don't know if he can beat them anymore at this point of their careers.
He can't beat.
I think he can.
He can beat Alcaraz. For some reason, he plays him really well. Remember, he just beat him in the Olympics. I don't know why. He plays him a lot better than he plays Sinner. I think Sinner, he kind of sees himself and he gets scared because I don't know why. He can kind of make Carlos start using too many of his great skills. And that's Carlos's problem. We know that. That's why he's really good on grass.
It's funny they compare him to Nadal, but I see more Federer. And I think that's where Djokovic gets him as he tries to he makes Carlos start wanting to hit highlights. Yeah. He turns into a wall where Sinner's like, I'll just be a wall with you.
Exactly. You hit it on the nail because you can even look back at old tape back when I don't know what tournament they were. Maybe they were at the French Open somewhere. When he was a kid, they had Alcaraz had his dad had taken him to one of the majors, and they asked him who his favorite player was, and he said it was Federer. So he's definitely a Federer guy. He'll tell you that. Like Nadal and him are just from the same country. I don't even think they really like each other. I don't think Nadal likes him too much.
Yeah. I wonder if it's sometimes you don't like the heir apparent. Okay, great. That's some good U.S. Open talk. And like I said, and I think we both agree on this, just such a mistake to run it against the juggernaut that is college football and the National Football League. I mean, this should be wrapped up earlier. It could have got the whole nation's attention. But instead, we got some more great matchups to talk about. And I thank you guys for sticking with us. I know there's some non-tennis fans here that are football only. Thanks for sticking with us. I see 91 people watching live. We got the Twitter up and going, but if you're over on YouTube, Like, subscribe, hit the comment, helps boost us in the algorithm. So now that we're boosted 5-star, let's talk about the National Football League kicking off. Just a quick question real quick before we break down the game. Are you going out to watch this game? Is it an NFL kickoff night in Las Vegas? Or is it a work night?
No, I'm working. You know me. I'm working, especially this one. My new thing that I'm doing, and I was telling one of my guys overseas who runs the book, shout out Aldo, I'm no longer betting. So I think I'm going to wake up late on Sunday mornings on purpose and just jump in, see where my fantasy guys are at. Because, out here on the West Coast, the game start at 10. I can't help it. I'm going to be up at 7, even if I'm up to 2 at night. I just can't stay in bed long. Guess it's my ADHD. I've always been a guy who I'm just antsy. I want to get into something. I want to do something. So I probably won't be in the bed. I'll probably still watch it, but I'm going to refrain from betting a lot of NFL. The only games that I want to bet are games like this Thursday night game, games like this Friday night game, Sunday night games. I like the standalones, man. It's a lot easier for me to kind of gauge what's going on. Dealing with that schedule, man. If you try to bet a lot in the NFL, especially a guy like me who's so successful in college football, year after year, on Saturdays, I'm coming home with a huge bankroll, and I give back half of it at Sunday before 12 o'clock. So I'm not doing that this year. I'll be only dealing with mostly standalone games. Because on the standalones last year, I won about 78%.
All right. So those of you in Vegas hoping to see 5-star out and about, not going to happen for this one. Now let's talk about the game, man. I think this is interesting. Rarely do we ever get to handicap motivation in week 1. Usually every team's fired up. Even as bad as we think the New Orleans Saints are, the Saints don't think that. The 53 guys in that locker room, they're out there. They're ready to prove. Maybe by week 3 or 4, if they lose a bunch of games, the reality starts to hit. Hey, this team's not that good, and they start pointing fingers at each other. But right now, it's how when Major League Baseball is the most popular sport, and most of the people in the chat, Mike Robb's going to love this one. He loves teasing me about my age. But I remember when it truly was the national pastime and was the most important sport, and national media didn't really start covering football until October at the end of the World Series. And right. Spring training at that time was considered this time of hope. There was more parity in baseball, less in football. And now it feels that way for football. Even Tennessee Titan fans are fired up for week 1. And I say all that to say, I don't know how this Micah Parsons trade affects the locker room. When you listen, if you read Dak's quote, looks great. It's exactly what a player should say. But I watched that video. I don't know if he believed it, man. He might have just been saying what he knows he's supposed to say because he's paid that much money by the Dallas Cowboys to be a team leader. But it didn't sound like he was too happy with the trade. And I'm wondering how the rest of that defense feels. How do you think the Cowboys react? Because I did not expect him to get traded at all. I was in shock. I thought it was just a negotiating ploy and that he was going to be the highest paid player by the Dallas Cowboys like they always do at the last minute. How do you think that trade affects the Cowboys?
The Cowboys are getting a lot of negative press. As bettors, that's what we like because now it's in a situation where the laughing stock people are going to be swayed into believing that they're, sorry. And they're still a professional football team with a lot of talent over there. I don't know how the defense is going to be this year. They had a fall off after Dan Quinn left, but offensively, I'm not too worried about this team. Okay. First of all, there hasn't been a repeat champion in the NFC East for literally 21 years. The last time that a team repeated as the NFC.
Let me think if I can guess. Is it New York? You said 21 years. That'd be 98, 99.
No, 2001 through 2004. Excuse me.
Is that Philadelphia Eagles with Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid?
Exactly. They're the last team that did it. They won it 4 years straight. A lot of people think this Eagles team is up to the challenge like that as well. Okay, we'll see as the season goes by because we're only worried about this game. Per usual, a lot of chaos in Jerry's world. Everyone's talking about the Cowboys and no one's talking about them good. They're all about the Micah Parsons trade, what a joke that the organization is. But they got back a hell of a player in Kenny Clark that's going to help them a lot with the run. Kenny Clark is a really good player, and he's very happy to be a Cowboy. As you saw, his wife did a journal, and they were celebrating, man. They were so happy to go to Dallas, so that makes a difference.
Where would you rather live, 5-star? if you were a young man, a young
It
woman,
seemed like Michael
your
Parsons
family,
would
right?
rather live in Green Bay because he was pretty happy because if you break down the numbers, the deal that Jerry gave him with the state tax and everything with Wisconsin compared to Texas was the same deal. So,
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
he wants a chance to win, and I would agree with him that Green Bay probably offers him a better chance to play in a Super Bowl.
the thing is, people think that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are stupid, and they're not. They've been one of the best tandems at drafting. If you look at the Cowboys draft picks over the last few years, it reminds me kind of like the Lakers. They just end up letting them go, but they always get the right guys when they draft, you know. And then if you think
Mm-hmm.
about it, they've been drafting linemen the last couple of years. They've been trying to build from inside out. Another thing, the Eagles are not the same exact team from last year. They're a lot younger on defense. A lot of their veterans are gone this year. Josh Sweat is gone. Milton Williams. On the offensive side, Mekhi Becton. On the defensive side, two really big leaders for them were Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, and then don't forget the guy who just went to Houston over there with us. He was a big playmaker for them as well. You know, so they're missing those guys. They're trusting a really young defensive backfield this year. They're extremely talented, man. They're just young, and now you got to see if Ringo, Keon Mitchell, DeJon Cooper are they as good as the trio of CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, George Pickens? Because the Eagles, I don't expect their rush to be as dominant as it was last year. They're really good up the middle, though. So they do have to make sure that they watch those two boys from Georgia that's right up the gut for the Cowboys. But they did draft a kid from Alabama that's supposed to be a really good player. We'll see. Can't forget also Jake Ferguson played really well. Him and Dak Prescott have a really good connection, man. Big news for the Cowboys with Tyler Guyton coming back on Monday. He was supposed to miss 6 weeks. He ends up being available for the game. He wasn't highly rated. PFP has him as the 115th ranked tackle out of 140. So he has a lot of room for improvement. They gave up 38 sacks last year, 19th worst in the NFL. But if you remember, Dak missed some games as well. And just with Dak knowing how to get guys aligned and knowing who he's going to go to will make it where it's a lot easier on the offensive line than when they were dealing with a backup. They got to stop the run, the Cowboys do, which is going to be difficult because we know the Eagles run the ball really, really well. But the thing you also have to realize is now Jalen Hurts has another offensive coordinator again. This is his fourth in 4 years. And you remember the first year when they came off a Super Bowl, when they changed OCs, they had a down year that year offensively. I know that they have Saquon now, but Saquon was doing a lot in the offseason spread. He was everywhere, you know. So how do teams deal with the success?
And even if he wasn't, you have to be either the two men that I remember in the last 25 years are Adrian Peterson and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That can absorb that type of workload and not come back with an injury. So I hate to say this, but and I think Saquon will be fine for game one. But I'm just thinking of my season-long fantasy football. Of the top 12 players, he's my least owned first-round player. And I hope I'm wrong because, you know, fantasy football be damned. I'd rather see him out there playing football. But it's really hard to absorb that many carries, that many touches as a running back.
Yeah, it definitely is. And another thing that people aren't taking into account, once again, it's a media frenzy of making the Cowboys clowns and the laughing stock. And you know, me being a Houston guy, I don't have love at all for the Cowboys, but I'm a sports bettor first, and I just deal with the climate of how the sports world is talking when I'm dealing with betting, and I also deal with the facts. And the facts is Brian Schottenheimer is more like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay than most other coaches in the NFL, bro. He's been in that game his whole life. His dad
Which is funny because his dad wasn't like that at all.
Yeah, his dad is Marty Schottenheimer.
His dad was like Harbaugh, the way they play, you know.
But that's a good thing. That's a great thing because he plays both. He understands both sides of the ball. His uncle, as you know, was a DC for a long time, Kurt Schottenheimer. So he was the backup quarterback. You know, backup quarterbacks end up usually being really good coaches. He was the backup quarterback at Florida.
Well, you have to know the game plan. That's all you do all week.
Exactly. He was behind Danny.
You learn that sheet inside and out.
You got to learn. He was behind Danny Werf when they won the championship in Florida, and I'm sure Steve Spurrier loves him because he was his backup. So he was in his office, get little tidbits of coach's son. So I'm sure he learned from him. His kid has put in a lot of work. 1997 through 2005, he was the OC with the Jets. They were woeful, and he's the one that kind of lifted their offense up. If you remember, Chad Pennington won Comeback Player of the Year under his tutelage. 2008, the Jets offense scored the third most in franchise history with Brett Favre as the quarterback. Then in 2009 and 10, he led the Jets offense to back-to-back AFC championships with a rookie and Mark Sanchez as the OC. 2016, he was the quarterback coach for Andrew Luck when he set the single-season completion percentage record. 2019, he was the OC when Russell Wilson had the best season as a pro, 4,000 yards passing, over 4,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. And he also got Chris Carson a contract. No one even knew him. He ran for 1,230 yards with Schottenheimer's offense. Then he joined the Cowboys in 2022 as a consultant. Before that, he was kind of working with the 33rd team as a brain trust, kind of writing about the game and analyzing. This guy has seen the game from every angle, kind of like Kevin O'Connell at Minnesota. And I think that people are underestimating how good of a coach Brian Schottenheimer is. He could have been a head coach several times before. He waited his time, waited 20-some years of being an assistant, and now this is his opportunity. I think he's more ready for this situation than people are giving him credit for, man. Another thing that you got to watch is they got a good DC in Matt Eberflus. Eberflus is a hell of a DC. Even when the Bears sucked, they were in games because of the defense. He was a good defensive coordinator in Indianapolis. That's how he got the Bears job. Then a really smart move by Schottenheimer, he hired Clayton Adams. He's known for making the Arizona Cardinals offensive line go from one of the worst in the league to one of the best in the league in a very short time. Very smart, because Schottenheimer will be calling the calls, because Jerry specifically told him, if I hire you, you got to call the offense too. You got to be the OC. He agreed to it. Picking up Adams is just having another offensive line coach, because he knows that their weakness is where? The offensive line, man. Jerry and Steven are a lot smarter than people think. They are football guys, whether people realize it or not. Let's see if Javonte Williams can give them a running game. This is the second year off of ACL. Before, he was really good at Denver's rookie year. I was really high on him coming out of North Carolina, but he tore his knee up. It takes most backs 2 years to get back to themselves. This is his second year off of that injury. So I like that for them as well. And then you talked about it early in the year about Jaden Blue is a backup there. Jaden Blue, man, he was a beast at Texas. He reminds me a lot of my homeboy Jamal Charles. A lot of speed, not afraid to contact, and is a home run hitter, and also good in the passing game. So I just think that people are underestimating the Cowboys, and I love it. I hope everyone in the chat goes and bets the Eagles. Like you guys keep betting the Eagles, because I'm always line up in the manner where I'm lined up with what the house needs. I'm never going to roll with the public, man. It's a few situations where I roll with the public, like with Mahomes and things like that. But for the most part,
the exception that proves the rule. Mahomes and Belichick roll with old Belichick, not North Carolina Belichick.
One more
as
point,
far as this game,
I want to make sure that I get across one more point, and that's about Dak Prescott being underappreciated, the type of quarterback that he's been in this league. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC East, man. He's 9-4 in his career against the Eagles, 33-8 in the NFC East, with 80 touchdowns and only 21 picks since he's been in the league, man. So, and he's also won 3 times in Philadelphia. He's 3-3 in Philly. He's 2-1 against Jalen Hurts. Everyone's talking about the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, and his greatness. And Dak has been really quiet this offseason. The only statement that he made is he'll give anything to win the Super Bowl. He wants to bring the Super Bowl to Dallas. I think that we're going to see a really good Dallas offense. Might be a high-scoring affair, so the over might be a look. I don't play totals personally, so I won't be playing it, because just my look at the land on 47. So I don't play totals. But I do definitely lean toward the Cowboys. It's just too many points with an offense that potent, and with a kicker who can kick the ball 60 yards easily and keep you in the game by just making field goals and keep you under, the spread. So I'm rolling with the Cowboys. That's what I like in this one.
All right. I'm on the Cowboys too. You made so many good points. I don't need to reiterate any of them, but I do want to ask you a betting strategy question. Looking at that Cowboys first half, First of all, do you like the first half? And I almost wonder if I just want to get in and get out, just with the worry that Philly kind of runs away in the last 6 minutes.
It
They're
starts
at home,
running the ball.
raucous crowd.
Yeah.
What do you think of Cowboys' first half? And if you were only going to play one, which one do you think is the better bet?
I like that. Spread with both first half bettors. Get in and get out with dogs, especially. Cowboys might be winning at halftime on this game. Just because, like I said, their offenses, they're going to surprise some people. Brian Schottenheimer knows what he's doing on offense. I know he wasn't a popular pick for a lot of people. A lot of people, didn't know a lot about him coming into this. So, it's kind of like a joke. Like, what is Jerry doing? He got rid of McCarthy and is getting this guy, but he is going to surprise some people, man. He has a long history of coaching really well on that side of the ball, man. And as you said, with him, with a dad like he has, an uncle like he has, with him also, people don't know that when he came to Dallas as the analyst in 2022, he worked side by side with Dan Quinn. He was right by him in the box. Dan Quinn was calling defense, and Schottenheimer would tell Dan Quinn, like, this is what they're doing offensively right now, and break it down to him so he can know how to approach it defensively. So I think that the Cowboys are going to surprise people in this spread.
All right. I know you did excellent on standalone games, and hey, it's confession time for me. I don't like these international games, man. I didn't play it last year, and I'm glad because I'm even thinking back to our preview on the show, and I love the under. But I said I'm not betting it because these international games are wacky, and there's so many factors that I don't trust my projections. I don't trust my reads as usual because we don't even know how some of these guys are going to react. It's very different to fly from Green Bay to Dallas, or this isn't Green Bay, but from Los Angeles to Kansas City than Los Angeles to Sao Paulo. Some people might just be like, we don't. So anyways, I don't have a play on this game. I think it's just a tough one to handicap. Talk to me about how you're approaching it. And I'm talking, of course, if people don't know, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They're taking on the Chargers. The Chiefs are favored by 3, and I'll pull my lines back up. The total's in the 40s. I'll get the exact line. Talk to me about how you're going to bet this game.
Mahomes is still Mahomes, spread, and Herbert is still Herbert. That's the only way I'm going to bet.
Tyler would love that. Tyler would love that breakdown.
Bro, they love
He pretty
Herbert.
much said the same thing when we did the show yesterday.
Herbert has not shown me anything to get the praise and the glory that he gets from these writers who just look at him and they're like some weirdos. Like, he's 6'4", blonde hair, good looking, can throw the ball a country mile and run a 4.5.
Right.
You don't give a damn. Can he win? That's all that matters. Can he come through when it matters? And I have not seen Herbert be a guy that I could bet, especially dealing with a ticked off Patrick Mahomes coming out being embarrassed in the Super Bowl. The last time we saw the Chiefs, they were getting their ass whooped all over the field. You think that they're not coming in with some motivation? You don't think it's some pride over there with that organization? Mahomes is 35-5 against the AFC West in his career spread. Justin Herbert has a losing record in the AFC West in his career. He's 13-14. He's 2-7 versus the Chiefs in his career. Whereas Pat Mahomes is 10-2 versus the Chargers. Mahomes is also 6-1 in week 1 as a starter. The only loss that he had, remember, we were together at the top of the world watching the Lions game.
And he gets the Lions. Yeah.
They lost by 1 point, but you remember Kadarius Toney blew that game. Mahomes did what he needed to do to get the victory. Kadarius Toney had a absolutely horrible game and single-handedly lost that game, and they still only lost by 1 point. It's just I can't fade Andy Reid when he's 32-7 when he's given time to prepare extra, first of all. And then look at his record in week 1 as a Kansas City Chiefs coach, man. He's 9-1. He's 9-1, like as in the first week of the NFL. I'm not fading Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Simple as that. And it's only 3 points. Nah, man. I don't care how slick the books try to be on this one. They just got to beat me on this one. Give me the Chiefs on this one, -3, and I'll take a money line to be safe as well.
When you talk about the Chiefs improvement, one thing I want to point out for fantasy players, I might probably let you guys had your drafts already, but for player props, I think Xavier Worthy's poised to break out this year. With the little bit of chemistry they had. And I wouldn't necessarily bet his receptions props, but I think he's going to hit yardage and touchdowns all the time. And it might only be on 3 or 4 catches.
He's a touchdown maker.
4 catches.
He was in Texas too, and it's going to help him with Rice being out early. When Rice comes back, Rice is going to take a little of his food, because Rice is actually Mahomes' favorite receiver now, even more than Kelsey. Like, that's his favorite receiver. Him and Rice have great chemistry together. And when Rice gets on near the end of the season, that's why I'm going to wait, because the Chiefs have a tough schedule. Hopefully they lose a couple games early.
They're on prime time like every other week.
Yeah. I need them to go 3-3 after 6 games. Then I'm gonna jump on them to win the Super Bowl, because when Rice
I almost think that helps them in the playoffs with the weird times, because they've been doing it all year. Where other teams, like if Indianapolis happened to make the playoffs, they've been playing at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. every single week.
They won't make the playoffs because.
But you understand my point, right? Like, the playoffs, we get these weird times. One game starts at noon our time. Games never start at noon our time. It's either 10 or 1, or you start at 5:30 on Wild Card Night, or you're on Monday Night Football now, which I don't necessarily like, but that's a conversation for a different day. All right, you made a pretty convincing argument. I'm going to join you on Kansas City. Let's talk about some college football action. James Madison will be in Louisville. The Cardinal Lane. They're the Cardinals singular, right? It's not the Cardinals.
I think they're the Cardinals with the S, I think.
Okay, Stanford used to be is Cardinal. Okay, my apologies there. Louisville Cardinals.
Louisville. Yeah,
Cardinals. And I don't even know if I know James Madison's mascot. Do you?
I think they're the Dukes, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So the Dukes are taking on the Cardinals. Anyways, Louisville Lane 14. How are you approaching this one?
This one's going to be difficult because you got Miller Mouse coming in from USC with a really good coach in Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom is a hell of a coach, man. So he's really good at coaching quarterbacks. As you see, he got a real miracle in Tyler Shuff getting drafted. So he's a miracle worker when it comes to quarterbacks. But Miller Mouse is one of those guys, too, that I know he can throw the ball around. He has a lot of weapons. Isaac Brown is a great running back for him, man. He had 6 carries at 126 yards last week. Like, he has a lot of burst. And once again, Jeff Brom does a good job of drawing up the plays. But you guys know me. I rarely lay points. They're just not my thing. Like, Mahomes is one of the few guys I will. Long-term, as a bettor, you always want to take points if they're giving them, because it's sports, man. Anything can happen. So you always want the points on your side if the books are giving up anything. I don't know why people love to just lay points with the favorites like that, but I've never been that type of guy. I do it for the underground and the underdogs. Y'all hit that like button right now if you're rocking with the Wagering World. We appreciate you being here. We hope that we'll help you get some information to help you get to the window. Alonzo Barrett III. You remember my guy Devon Dampier? You saw how good he looked against UCLA, right? Now the whole world's talking about it. We got another one spread that was birthed here on the Wagering World. Devon Dampier, when we were talking about him at New Mexico, and now he's at Utah, and he's about to be the talk of the world. He's going to be the next Cam Ward. Everyone's going to be saying he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. He'll be drafted and everything. But we were watching when he was at lowly New Mexico with Bronco Mendenhall, with the worst receiving core in college football, and he was playing all by himself out there. Now he gets some help, and he looks good. Well, I think Alonzo Barrett is that type of guy, too. I feel like if he went to a major school, he would really, really be a better known player, but because he's at James Madison, not a lot of people know him. They also have a good coach over there in Coach Bob Chesney. Chesney's done a really good job over there with James Madison. After he took over for the previous coach, he ended up going to Indiana and doing a really good job last year. So I know that the manpower says Louisville, but I got to take the points just because I think that Barnett can play really good against them. Excuse me, Alonzo Barnett. I believe that Barnett will come to play and play a lot better than Miller Mouse. I think Miller Mouse has it easy because he has the talent, but I think that Alonzo Barrett III has the talent. So we'll see. But I personally, I'm going to take James Madison and the points. I lean that way.
Quick detour off the script. When you mentioned the running back, 6 carries, 120 yards, reminded me of this. This Penn State, he's a 2027 RB commit. The kid's still in high school. His name is Keemon Spell. I'm going to send you the highlights.
Okay.
He had a high school game, 13 carries for 293 yards.
Wow.
5 total touchdowns, a 98-yard kick return, and scored on his first 3 touches. Right now, he's committed to go to Penn State in 2027. Keemon Spell, kind of with the same similar crazy number. So I'll send that to you on X. You can check it out and let me know if that's a product of true skill or maybe just low competition. Let's talk about Northern Illinois. They're heading down to Maryland to take on the Terrapins. I know that one minus 18.5 seems like a lot of points. How are you approaching this one?
This is a no play for me, but I do like Northern Illinois' coach Thomas Hammock a lot better than I like Mike Loxley for Maryland. I've never forgiven him for when he made us lose that minus 20 versus Ohio State that year when they were leading going into the fourth quarter, ended up blowing the game and the cover. So I don't know how smart of a coach he is.
That's one of those ones I think I stopped watching, and you look your account later and you're ready to email them like, you guys made a mistake. And then you check your score app and you're like, what?
But yeah, it was that type of situation. I don't know enough about Maryland. I didn't watch them last week, and I didn't watch a lot of film. I don't know anything about the quarterback. So I'll just wait and see on that one. It's one of the ones I'll watch and maybe jump in live. But I know that Thomas Hammock, who's the Northern Illinois coach, he's a hell of a coach, man. And I'd like to see him go somewhere, some coach at a bigger program with more talent.
All right, let's move to the future. Give out some division picks real quick, and then we will call it a day. NFC North, 5-star. If we had done this a couple weeks ago, I think I would have had to think about it. Odds be damned. This is Green Bay's division to lose now. What do you think?
At first, I was leaning Green Bay. You know how I feel about Matt LaFleur. You know I love Matt LaFleur, man. You know, he's one of my favorite coaches. I always say if I was starting the team, he'd be the guy. But Kevin O'Connell's pushing it now for me, so I might well go with Kevin O'Connell. But I really like him a lot, and I like the type of plays he draws up. After Jordan Love got healthy last year, he was a top 10 quarterback. He was top 5 in EPA and yards per attempt on early downs, even though he had the most receiver error rate, meaning his receivers ran the wrong routes, dropped the ball. We saw they had some terrible receivers. They're hoping
Ontavian Wicks.
Oh my God!
Guy get open and just not bring it in.
They all are sorry. Christian Watkins used to drop stuff all the time,
and they probably yelling at Jordan Love. Wicks is open. Why didn't you go there? And he's probably like, you know why I didn't go there. It doesn't matter that he's open. The ball doesn't. It's not a reception.
They're hoping that the kid from Houston, Matthew Golden, can help him. So we'll see. Matthew Golden was a hell of a player at Texas and at the University of Houston before that. I also like Green Bay's defensive coordinator, Jeff Hadley. They used to be the coach at BC. They were 6th in red zone defense under him last year after being 23rd the year before. He's really a good defensive play caller. You know, they've added outside linebacker Michael Parsons, so they're going to be a really good team, man. But as far as in this division, I still like the Lions. And the reason I like the Lions, man, is because Dan Campbell is a lot smarter than he looks. People don't understand. When you get 2 of your assistants NFL head coaching jobs, it's about the head coach. It's not about the assistants. It's about him because they still manage everything. And everything that the OC and the DC want to do, they still have to run it through the head coach. And that's why I don't get why people are so down on Sirianni as well. Nick Sirianni is a hell of a coach. He's top 5, you know, because
it's because we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. We see those press conferences.
Yeah, and you know, it doesn't matter how you talk. Yeah, it doesn't matter how.
I'm just saying that's why because that's the only information we have. It's some of the worst press conferences we've seen. He's flipping off fans. This is.
But you know what makes Sirianni the best coach? Spread. This alone makes him a top 5 coach. He was the only coach with enough sense to create the tush push and not have a back 7 yards deep or in the shotgun when you need a half an inch or a yard. That alone, his common sense on that alone makes him a top guy for me. But I like Dan Campbell the same way. He was a former tight end. He came up through my Saints organization, you know, with Sean Payton, the good days. And he's a really close friend of Sean Payton. And he actually got the OC, was with Sean Payton last year. The passing game coordinator was John Morton. And John Morton now will take over as the OC. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of fall off. And the reason why is because he helped Ben Johnson install that offense in 2022 before joining Sean Payton when Sean Payton came back to the Broncos. So Morton is very familiar with the players. And another thing is, it's funny that Johnson tried to hire him. He tried to bring him to Detroit as his OC first. And, of course, Dan Campbell is the more, impressive coach. So he went over there with his guy, Dan Campbell. And I think that Dan Campbell is a really good dude. And I think that he's a guy that guys will run through the wall for, but he's smarter than people think. And that was a great hire. He also promoted Kelvin Shepard, the linebacker coach, from within the team. So everything's going to be pretty much the same because he was the CEO. He was overseeing all of this stuff, man. It wasn't anything that was done in that locker room, in that game plan, without his okay. Dan Campbell's the reason they were going for it so much. It's his team, man, and the team plays for him. They get Aiden Hutchinson back this year as well. I think that we continue to see the same Jared Goff that we've seen the last 2 years. Jared Goff is just a consummate pro. So I think people are sleeping on the Lions. So I still like the Lions to get it done when I look at all the schedules. The Vikings, I think once again, it might be 3 teams from this division in the playoffs because I do like the Vikings this year. They got the best duo of coaches in the league with Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. Do a really good job with that. Now can J.J. McCarthy step up? I don't see him being any worse than Sam Darnold. If you can rein in Sam Darnold, you for sure can teach J.J. McCarthy, who came from winning at Michigan, has a lot of tools, and, is a very coachable kid. So I think that O'Connell gets him in a position to be successful. Jordan Addison is out the first 3 games, but they're going to need him because he takes a lot of stuff off of Justin Jefferson, off Jay Jetta. So they will need him. That's a really nice duo they got over there because Jordan Addison could be a wide receiver 1 on a lot of teams. The Bears, I'm going under on their wins, man. I don't even think that they're going to accomplish. Last year we cashed on the under on their wins. They're in a big market. People love Chicago. They have added some pieces, but I just don't like Caleb Williams. And what I've seen from all the times that they've talked to their head coach, Ben Johnson, it doesn't seem like he's too high on Caleb Williams either. He seems like he's always praising Tyson Bagent more than him. So
you don't think that's a motivational ploy, though? I don't see how you
that's
take
not
that job
work,
if you really don't like.
That's not how you coach Caleb Williams. Caleb
true,
Williams
but
is a baby. He's a guy that's always got what he wanted because of talent, man. And he has a really strong father in his life who's a really intimidating guy. His father is nothing like him, So I don't know how this is going to work in Chicago with the pressure and everything that's on him. And another thing you got to remember, what made Ben Johnson so great at Detroit? His play calls. Because what is Jared Goff going to do? He's going to run that system. He's a pocket passer. That's why I say all the time Shador is going to be good when given the chance because he knows how to run a pro offense. He's going to get the ball to the playmakers. He's going to distribute. He's going to be a point guard. He's going to get it in their hands where they can make a play and get them in position where they're catching the ball on the run. And that's all Jared Goff does. Caleb Williams misses some easy layups on passes. And another thing that Caleb Williams does is he bails quick. Just why Aaron Rodgers couldn't get along with Matt LaFleur. He wasn't running the plays. I'm look one read, then I'm going to start ad-libbing. That's not going to work with Ben Johnson. You're supposed to run the play the way he draws it up. So in that division, give me the Lions. I think the Lions can get it done. Even though they're favored, I do think that they're worth the play on that one.
Here's my concern for the Lions. Aaron Glenn. I'm so impressed with him. And like I said, I think I probably take too much into these press conferences and the way they speak.
Yeah, that's what that is.
But I think he's good. And when you're promoting both these guys, I understand they can install the same system. The question is, and we saw it with the Niners because they replaced a couple of defensive coordinators, right? But then they just kind of ran out of magic there. But are they going to be able to make the same adjustments? I'm sure they're going to install the same scheme.
The playoff spread, it's been because of the defense. Aaron Glenn, they couldn't stop Washington last year and the year before.
But that's a dynamic player that you can't necessarily scheme for because you have everyone covered and he just makes things happen. Because
but they would just get whatever they wanted on them, really. And then the year before that, Campbell has to end up going for it late in the game because they had a big lead on the Niners at halftime, but the defense let them down in the second half. So I don't know how much they're going to miss him, man. Honestly.
All right, well, we'll see. And I like Aaron Glenn, but I don't know if I'm that high on the Jets roster. I don't know if that's where we were going next. No, we already previewed that one. Oh, no. Let's just switch to AFC East next because we are talking about Aaron Glenn, and it's the perfect transition. I love him as a coach. I just don't think the squad's got it, man. And I wanted Justin Fields to be so bad for so good for so many years. And it's just time for me to realize, I just don't think it's going to happen. And as good as he is and as good as the defense is, and they have talented skill position players, I don't believe in the New York Jets. I believe in Vrabel, Drake May, Josh McDaniels. I think the Patriots end up being second place in the AFC East. And other than catastrophic injury, this is the Bills' division to lose. I also think this is the year that Miami has to move on from McDaniel. And the reality is, hey, you can drop all the cool plays you like, but if you can't get guys to be on time, you can't command respect in the locker room. Guys are showing up late, doing whatever they want, mouthing off whenever they want. Go back to being a coordinator. Get a guy like Dan Campbell to run your team. So I think Miami's going to play McDaniel out of a job. I think the Jets are going to be disappointing. Patriots are going to be the talk of the division, and the Bills win it again. What's your thoughts there on the AFC East?
I do think that Justin Fields can play. I think Justin Fields has landed in 3 of the worst places a young quarterback can land.
And now is he in number 4 with another defensive head coach? And you got
coach. You got the Steelers. They've only won with Ben Roethlisberger in the last 20 years, and that's because he was running around kind of doing his own thing, just a super athlete and making things happen. But no coaching. Justin Fields was really good under Ryan Day, and I haven't seen any of that. If he would have went to Shanahan, I think he would have been a completely different quarterback. And Shanahan almost drafted him, but instead ended up going with the kid out of North Dakota State who didn't pan out. So, I just really feel bad because I do think Justin Fields can play. I just, how you see a guy, you could tell that he's not getting the right type of reps with his quarterback coach. That's what you see with him. It's like, what are we doing? Like, then he's at Chicago, and we know that's why I'm not too high on what the kid from USC is going to do over there, man. Even though everyone loves Caleb Williams, he's a dynamic player. When the hell has Chicago ever had a good quarterback? So some franchises just don't develop quarterback well, and he went to all 3 that really don't.
Unfortunately, the Jets are one of them. Isn't Joe Namath still their leading passer?
I'm sure. Like Chad Pennington holds all types of records. Like, come on, man. So he's in a bad situation. I feel it the same as you. I think Vrabel alone helps the Patriots become a much better team. They may beat the Bills one time in Foxborough, but overall, it's the Bills' division to lose. The league loves Josh Allen, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure he gets to the playoffs or a deep run. So I do think that the Bills win again.
All right, AFC North, a lot of fun. Can the Cincinnati Bengals bounce back? How long will it take before the Cleveland Browns realize what they have in Shedeur Sanders? And, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers, doesn't matter. Tomlin always gets them to 9-8, and they're going to lose in the first round of the wild card. Are we going to see all these same things again? I think the biggest question mark is Cincinnati. They can be a Super Bowl contender if they find a little bit of defense. However, I don't know. Maybe that's a little far-fetched here. What is your take on the AFC North?
I just feel like the Bengals have a really favorable schedule, especially early, so they could be able to build momentum. But, man, that defense is going to have to improve. So, with that said, Lamar's won 3 straight years. I see him winning again because only thing, though, they got a really tough schedule. So, they do have to be careful. They might go 10-6 or something this year and have to be a wild card team because they got a tough schedule. The league didn't show.
I think that helps. I don't like when you roll. That's one of the problems that the Texans do in the AFC South, man. I'm just wondering, beating up on Indianapolis and Jacksonville, does that get you ready for a playoff game?
Right.
Sometimes it's better to have that tough schedule. I mean, the Chiefs do every year, and I think it makes them better.
Yeah, that is a good point. But we know that Lamar is won 70% of his games since he's been in the league, so he'll be ready to play, and I'm sure he's going to be motivated with them stealing the MVP from him last year as well. The Steelers they're the ace. They're the one that if I was going to play last year, remember we played them and we almost stole it. They almost won the division until late in the season they kind of burnt out. But if Aaron Rodgers can play as good as he was playing at the end of the year for the Jets, he's another one, second year coming off of ACL. Not saying he's going to ever be able to move again like he used to, but we know that if he has time, and what does the Steelers do? They got a good offensive line every year. That's what Tomlin believes in the trenches. So I think that all of that stuff he was dealing with the Jets with no blocking and things like that, he'll be back to how he was with the Packers, where he could just sit back there and look pretty and throw the ball. And if that's the case, the Steelers do have an opportunity to shake up this division because we know they just signed back T.J. Watt. The defense is going to be outstanding like it always is. But he does have 2 new weapons on offense. The main one, DK Metcalf, man. DK Metcalf is a real player. I'm glad that now they're switching up the running game, getting more juice by elevating the kid who was the backup for the longest over there. and also bringing in Caleb Johnson from Iowa, who's a very explosive player, who's a under the radar type of guy, an Iowa running back, and he has some burst. Man, I seen him take over some games by himself for Iowa last year. So watch the Steelers. I don't care for Arthur Smith too much. That's the issue. So we'll see if Aaron Rodgers and him can get along all year, because you know how Aaron is. He's just gonna tell him like, this shit is dumb. I'm not running this. So
Yeah,
hopefully Aaron is able to
that
kind of
might
do.
be better.
Yeah, hopefully Aaron does what for Mike Tomlin what Ben did, and just supersedes
Do his own
everything
stuff.
and
Yeah.
calls plays on his own out there and kind
I
of
think
gets.
that's why Tomlin's always wanted him. Tomlin's always spoken highly of him. Tomlin's
Yeah,
loved him for like 10 years. Even back in Green Bay, he would always
he caught the
give praise,
last part.
especially
He
in
caught
off-season
Washington.
interviews.
He's a different guy now, but one thing that doesn't leave guys is throwing the ball. So if he has time to set up, man, he'll be okay. So this is an interesting division. I would take a flyer on the Steelers just on a value play, but I think the Ravens do it again.
All right, let's talk about the AFC West. Then we'll go to the Ball and Parlay, of course. Kansas
Well, I
City's.
think it's the AFC South. I think we did the AFC West earlier. I think I just put them. Or did we do the AFC South earlier this year? Which one did we do? We did one of those earlier.
Let's just do both in case people
Okay.
missed it. I'm going quick on the AFC West. I think the Chiefs are going to win. Denver's
That's
clearly in second place. I think Raiders and Chargers, whoever wins their heads-up matchups, that's going to be the third place team. And you know, the loser will be in fourth. And I think Ashton Genty has got a great chance to be Rookie of the Year, but at plus 250, there's no value there. But I'm so excited to just watch him as a Raiders fan. Even 8-9, if we're competitive in every game, I'll be happy there. If Genty looks good. Talk to me about what you see in the AFC West.
AFC West is Mahomes, man. 35 and with 5, I said in the AFC West.
Yeah.
Is for career. Why would I fade that? Like, it's every year he and Andy Reid are smart enough to understand the importance of regular season games and winning. Some teams take off during the regular season. They never do, because they understand if I get home field advantage, I have a better opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl. So we haven't seen them have less than, I think, 12 wins since Mahomes has been there as the starting quarterback, and I don't think that changes this year. The Broncos can't push them this year. I think Bo Nix is going to have a good year, his second year under Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton is a really good coach, really good overall coach, where he kind of coaches both sides of the ball and special teams. So Broncos are moving forward, but still not ready, I think, to overtake the Chiefs.
All right, let's move to the AFC South. I talked about Ashton Genty, and I would love to bet him a Rookie of the Year, but the price isn't right. You know what the price is right on? CJ Stroud, MVP, 5-star, 20-1. You tell me there's not a 5% chance that he comes back, replicates the season he had. And like I said earlier, that's an easy division, and it may not bode well for the playoffs, but this is a regular season award. I can see a 12-5, a 13-4, over 4,000 yards, a great touchdown to interception ratio. The real question for me, I think Tennessee will be better. Still not good enough. They're going to cover spreads. They're going to play tough, but they're going to lose a lot of games. But I think Tennessee Titans fans will be happy with the improvement. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a team. I have no idea what to make of this team. In Indianapolis, yeah, they're probably 7-10, 8-9. They'll beat some teams some week. They'll upset some survivor pools, and they'll have some bad losses, probably against the Tennessee Titans or the Jacksonville Jaguars that they're favored by 4 to 7 points at home. But Jacksonville, I don't know what to make of them. Does Trevor finally come through, man? And, I judge these coaches. I don't get it. I'm not watching Hard Knocks. I don't see what's going on in the room. But I love Ben Johnson's press conferences. I love Aaron Glenn's press conferences. I don't know if I like Liam Cohen's press conferences.
I like him, man.
Okay, talk to me about Jacksonville and basically just your overall thoughts on this division.
I think the Texans win it because they're by far the best team, and especially on the defensive side. People don't give enough praise to D'Amico Ryans for the type of play caller he is. He's the best defensive coach right now in the league as far as in calling and scheming for teams. So the Texans defense alone will make them win this division because they're dealing with Daniel Jones, a rookie in Cam Ward, and Trevor Lawrence has never been a good passer. People don't understand that he was drafted because of his athleticism at Clemson. He never was a guy that could stand in the pocket and just, beat you. He's really an athletic kid, strong kid, strong arm, but not accurate.
He goes well on the run, too. I think that's what people liked. I loved him as a prospect.
Yeah, so Liam Cohen is going to do a better job with him. As you saw, the Tampa Bay offense was nice last year, and they're going to miss him. I'm sure Baker Mayfield is going to miss him. And he has a lot of spirit about him, man, and, very, upward thinking guy. So I think that Jacksonville is going to be better than people think. I think that
I would like that, man. I've been hoping for that team to be good for years, man. Just they're a cat team. I'm a cat guy myself, and they always, they'll get good here or there. I remember the Blake Bortles seasons and stuff, but can't
two
find
really
any
good
sustained
receivers
success
over there. They got two really good young receivers. They got the kid from LSU who was all rookie
Brian
last
Thomas Jr. But then what was crazy to me is Brian Thomas Jr. is a top 5 wide receiver in the league already if you go by just fantasy projections. And then reports out of camp saying that just people watching think that Travis Hunter is the better player. And not downgrading Brian Thomas. They're saying Travis Hunter is that good.
Every kid that the main kids who all left in the skill position areas for Colorado are all pro ready. They're all ready to be professionals. And I think that Travis is going to have an outstanding career as a receiver. I think that he'll get some more slide, but his talent is on the offensive side of the ball. Don't get me wrong, he's a great cover cornerback and all that, but in these days and times, it's about offense. That's what sells the tickets. That's what gets the contracts. So I think
that's what gets the calls too.
Yeah. So I think
can't even play corner nowadays.
Right. So I think that he'll end up being
defensive
really
holding.
Good rookie. I like him for rookie of the year, honestly. He's one of those guys. I think he might score 10 touchdowns. So,
I mean, I love Genty, but just the price is wrong. Plus 250. There's way too many. There's way too. I think Omarion Hampton has just a good chance because, like I said, they're going to be right there, and Hampton's probably going to get more opportunities.
And Omarion Hampton, to me, is a more talented player than Genty. Genty is a little bit more twitchier, but Omarion Hampton is way faster than him and bigger. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely like the Texans. As you said, CJ would have bounced back. Yeah, I should have drafted him in fantasy. I don't know why.
I did. I got him in one league. I had 3 leagues. One league I got sniped, but I got him in the other one. And people might have thought I overdrafted him, but I don't care. I'm just like, it's the top 5 guy.
Dude, I had the snake. We had a 10-team league because 2 of our guys unfortunately couldn't play this year for whatever reasons, and we've been in the same league together for 16 years. I wasn't there. I'm in Vegas doing them over the phone, so of course I got number 10. So I had the last pick, right? But it's a snake because you get back to back, and I was so ticked. Do you know those guys do the first 9 picks didn't take Justin Jefferson because they so worried about J.J. McCarthy, and I missed it. I was so mad after I didn't pick him. After I looked, I was like, damn, they didn't take him because they sent me a picture of the board and it showed everyone who had been taken.
Yeah, you just assumed he's gone, right?
Bro, I said, damn, man, because I took Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I still think both of those are going to be good, but I wanted Justin Jefferson. You don't pass up if he's available at 10.
My favorite second-round receiver was Drake London. I think he's going to ball this year.
Yeah, he's going to ball with a quarterback now with Penix. But C.J. Stroud, what I didn't think about, because I didn't draft him because last year I had him, and I took him pretty early, like 2nd or 3rd round, and he ticked me off. He had a horrible year last year. But I should have known it was coming because we had kind of talked about how he was out there too much. He was outside a little bit too much last year. This year, quiet, out of the way. Thing that why I like Nico and him having a big year is because the OC that's coming over from the Rams comes from that McVay system where Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. If you're a good receiver, they're going to find ways to get you the ball. Kevin O'Connell leaves there, does the same thing for Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. They're going to find ways to get Nico the ball this year. Also, they have some really good players that they drafted in the draft. Those 2 Iowa State receivers are going to be really good. They made it where they ended up trading the kid from Alabama who they had high hopes on in Mechie to the Eagles. So I think that Texans offense is going to be dynamic. No Joe Mixon, maybe early, but I'm hearing Nick Chubb is all the way back, but they're going to be a pass first team this year.
I think Woody Marks can carry the load too for a couple weeks here. I think they'll use Marks and then Chubb as they get close. Marks will be the big home run hitter. Closer they get to that red zone.
People don't know about him at USC. He's fast, man. That kid is good.
So they'll use him, and then once they get to the red zone or 25, then it's Nick Chubb time where those yards get a lot harder. Let's move to the ball and parlay. 5-star, I kind of hinted towards it earlier. I agreed with you on your Dallas Cowboys take. I'm just a little scared to go full game. Give me the Dallas Cowboys first half plus 4.5.
Nice. So spread's going with the Cowboys plus 4.5. You guys know my lean. I'll hold it for the group on those games. But I do like the Chiefs. I'll just take the Chiefs money line because you guys, if you've been watching the show long enough, I taught Sino never bet against Mahomes. So Mahomes will be my play money line. But also I'm going to take, and it's about to start shortly, I'm going to take Mahova to win the first set against Naomi Osaka. I think she's plus 190 or something like that. You guys know I'm a big fan of both ladies, but I really, really like Carol Mahova is one of my favorite players. I think my top 5 players are Coco, Mahova, Vandrusova, Osaka, and who is number 5? It's somebody that's right down the tip of my tongue. I can't think of who it is right now. I like a lot of those ladies and respect their games, but those are my top 4 for sure. And Mahova, I'm just so glad to see.
You know what I like in that match, 5-star?
What's
Over
that?
2.5 sets. And if you catch that first one, I would go the other way in the second. I think over 2.5. These are close. And if Osaka wins the first, I'm almost going to double down because she hasn't been the best mentally lately. And if Mahova gets an early break or, whatever happens, I think she's going to come right back. I like over 2.5 sets in that one.
All right, guys, you got the plays. We had a long show, lengthy, an hour and a half, because we wanted to get you guys all this information. Guys, enjoy tomorrow. We kick off NFL Week 1. It's back, man. Let's enjoy. We're in the middle of a great time. Be where your feet are at, man, because we've been waiting all year for football to get back, and now it's finally here. Big Saturday coming up. We'll break that down on Friday and talk about college football Week 2 and the plays. We got some big matchups coming up with Oklahoma going to be hosting Michigan. I can't wait to talk about that one. Guys, as always, I dedicate this show to the greatest Houston sports fan that I know. That's my father, John H. Lindsay. For Spread Astaire on 5-Star in Vegas, this is the Wagering World.